When BMW unveiled the Z4 in 2002, it didn't just introduce a new roadster, it sparked a revolution. Gone was the curvy retro charm of the Z3. In its place stood a sharper, more aggressive machine, penned by the Danish designer Anders Warming. With its long hood, short overhangs, and a striking flame-surfaced bodywork, the Z4 wasn't just a replacement, it was a statement. And at the heart of the lineup was the 2003 BMW Z4 3.0i, a car that balanced luxury, performance, and open-top thrills like few others in its class could. Today, we're going to take a look at the history of this new entry into Gran Turismo and see where it ends up on our list compared to cars we've already tested. The Z3 had been a success, but it was never truly a driver's car the way the BMW M Division Legends had been. Enter the E85 generation Z4, a roadster designed from the ground up with sharper handling, improved rigidity, and a level of performance that put it in direct competition with the Porsche Boxster. At the core of the 3.0i model was BMW's beloved M54 inline-six, a naturally aspirated 3-liter powerhouse producing 225 horsepower and 214 foot-pounds of torque. This silky smooth engine, paired with either a 6-speed manual or 5-speed automatic transmission, delivered effortless acceleration, propelling the Z4 from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.6 seconds with the manual transmission. But the Z4 wasn't designed for straight-line speed. BMW's engineers ensured that the handling was razor-sharp, with a near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution, rear-wheel drive, and fully independent suspension that delivered confidence-inspiring grip. The electronic power steering was a first for BMW sports cars, drawing mixed reactions. Some praised its precision, while purists longed for the hydraulic feedback of earlier models. With a low-slung seating position, a short-throw shifter, and a chassis that communicated every road imperfection, the Z4 3.0 was a roadster designed for driving enthusiasts. Whether carving up canyon roads or cruising with the top down, it provided an intoxicating mix of agility and refinement. When it came to design, Chris Bangle's design philosophy was polarizing, but there was no denying that the Z4 had a presence. The bold creases, wide stance, and angular headlights gave it an aggressive, modern look, a stark contrast to the soft, nostalgic lines of the Z3. Inside the cockpit was focused on the driver with high-quality materials, a minimalist dashboard, and optional aluminum or wood trim that added a premium feel to the vehicle. The 2003 Z4 wasn't just a new chapter for BMW's roadster lineage, it was a turning point. It proved that small, two-seat convertibles didn't have to just be stylish. They could be genuine driver's cars. Over the years, the Z4 evolved, gaining an M variant, a coupe body style, and eventually transitioning into a Grand Tourer in later generations. But for purists, the E85 3.0i remains the sweet spot, a car that captured BMW's engineering brilliance in an era where analog driving experience were still king. 2 decades later, the 2003 Z4 3.0 stands as an underrated gem, a roadster that dared to be different, rewarded skilled drivers, and ensured BMW's legacy of open-top driving pleasure lived on. While I've never owned a Z4, I did at one point in my life have the BMW Z3 M Coupe, which is the only car I've ever sold that I miss, and I would love to get my hands on one again today. The M Coupe and the Z4 variant didn't have that same polarizing design that the Z3 M Coupe had, so I have a tendency to like those stranger cars, but this one is still a beautiful vehicle. But if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And we're going to go ahead from this point and take it over to the Tokyo Expressway to see how it handles on our loop. After fully modifying the Z4 with the medium turbo, you'll end up with 761 performance points. The engine will produce 561 horsepower, and 408 foot-pounds of torque. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but this car actually does end up fairly light after weight reduction. The weight reduction will bring the car down to 2,218 pounds, making it a great machine to push through the corners. The Z4 feels very well balanced and never really felt like it was getting out of control, even when hitting speeds of 214 miles per hour on the straights. Now, I did stiffen this chassis up, or the spring rate up, a little more than it should have been, and softening that will actually make this car a lot more enjoyable to drive. I did feel a little bit on edge, even though it never got out of hand. You'll also want to be careful with lowering this car. I actually had to lift it a little bit after installing the fully adjustable suspension, because it will bind in corners if you drop it at all. So I ended up lifting the front a little bit, and then the rear was not much of a change, but you'll want to make sure you don't end up getting rid of too much suspension travel. Its lightweight will also keep it from punishing its tires. In the test environment, the front and rear tires both wore down around 15% in the 3 laps. The fuel tank needed to be refueled after about 4 laps, but if you were to do a little bit of short shifting, you could easily get another lap out of this car relatively easily. You'll end up shifting this car around 8,000 RPM, which is fairly low compared to some of the vehicles, so without that screaming RPM, the car actually feels a little slower than it is, but it ended up being pretty quick when we got to the end of this test. We ended up crossing the line at 1 minute 55.075 seconds, which put it right behind the 4-rotor swapped FC RX-7 and just in front of the 205 Peugeot turbo race car from 1986. So not a bad position at all. I really appreciate you guys watching, so please stick around and we'll catch you in the next one.